So today I want to cover a question that I get a lot from all my buddies that are looking to get into fishing, and it's rod selection and reel selection. What should I get if I'm new to fishing? What should I get if I want to throw a jig on it? What should I get if I want to throw a swim bait? I get this question a ton from people, and I'm just going to go over some of the basics, what you should look for, kind of my personal preference as far as length, power, action, what those actually mean to you when you're picking out a rod. Because it can be kind of overwhelming. You go to Bass Pro Shops and you look at, they have a million rods all over the place, and you don't really know what you're looking for, what you want, and sometimes you go in there and you can't really find anybody that really knows what they're talking about either. So I'm going to try to help you out with your rod selection if you're a beginner, or if you're trying to pair it perfectly with a lure you're trying to throw. So first, let's talk about action. Action is the tip of your rod, how fast it is. Fast meaning how much does it bend, how much give does it have. Okay, so an extra fast action, the tip is going to have a lot of give to it. And the lower you go, so a fast action will have slightly less, and then a medium action. Most rods are going to have a fast or very fast action, and a lot of the times that's kind of what you're looking for depending on what you're throwing. Power is going to be the back half of the rod here. So the power is looking at how much give you're going to get from the back of the rod. This section here, okay? So a lot of the times I'm throwing medium or medium heavy, okay? So heavy means that you're going to have a ton of what they call backbone here, okay? Not a lot of give. Your rod's not going to flex a lot. Medium heavy, you have a little bit more flex. Medium, more flex, so on and so forth. I don't see a ton of applications where I'm using anything below medium. And I don't use anything over medium heavy either. I'm usually between those two things, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first I want to go over, if you're a beginner, because I know a lot of people that are watching this video are just beginners looking to go grab their first rod, what should I buy to get into bass fishing, okay? And the answer is you want to buy a 6'6" medium rod, fast action, okay? So 6'6", medium power, fast action. And the reason I say this is it's just going to be the most versatile for you. You can use that for pretty much anything. It's not the best for everything, but you can use it for everything. In this way here, using this rod, you can gauge from here, do I kind of want a longer rod to maybe get a longer cast or more leverage on the fish? Or do I want a shorter rod? Is my wrist getting fatigued? Am I too close to a partner on the boat and I want a shorter rod? So it's just the perfect starting point is 6'6", medium, fast action. Okay, because you can really throw anything on it. That's what this one is here, and I'll show you the specs right now.
Usually on the inside of the rod you can see all the information you're looking for. As we can see here, this is a 6'6". Lure weight recommended is 1/8 through ½ ounce. Line weight 4 to 12 pound test. Power medium and action fast.
So that's where you're going to see your specs, just like that, when you're picking it out. This style rod, for me, I pair it with a lot of different things. So I have a lot of rods that are around this same medium 6'6", fast action. I'll throw Texas rig Senkos. I'll throw finesse jigs, which is kind of what this has on here, which is basically just a smaller jig, a little bit of a smaller presentation. And I'll throw jerk bait. I do like a smaller rod only because you get the wrist fatigue. And I'll throw a shaky head, all stuff that it's kind of light. You really want to be able to feel that strike. And again, I don't go much over 6'6" because I really don't see much of a use for it. I fish on a boat a lot of the time, so me and my partner are not very far apart. So I really don't want a 7-foot rod when I'm swinging this rod around. I don't want to end up hooking him, and I don't really see the benefit to having a 7-foot rod when you're fishing from a boat. So that's why I stick with this size. So let's get into the more advanced rod selection and what you're going to pair it with. So the 6'6" medium is going to pair, like I said, with your Gary Yamamoto Senkos, with all your light soft plastics. It's going to pair great with like unweighted things. Okay, if you want more leverage on your fish, I guess you can say, go with the 7-foot. A 7-foot's going to cast a little farther, possibly. But yeah, so I'm going to use that for those finesse situations, finesse jig, Gary Yamamoto Senkos, Texas rigged with no weights, Zoom Super Flukes, shaky headworms, things like that. I'm throwing on the spinning tackle on a lighter rod. Now let's talk about stuff that you want to throw that's a little bit heavier. Like here, this is a swim jig. It's heavier. Throw it on bait casting tackle. And now this is going to be a medium heavy. Again, 6'6" is my go-to length, only because I find it has the perfect balance of it's just long enough to still get a nice cast out of. Really doesn't fatigue you a lot. You're not whipping something that's giant around. This here is a medium heavy. So now I'm throwing the heavier stuff. I want a medium heavy rod, still with a fast tip. So when a bass does strike, you can still feel that little strike, even if it's subtle. You want that fast tip so you can really feel things. Also, when you're bringing in crankbaits, when you're bringing in a swim jig, you can kind of feel rocks, things of that nature, structure a little bit better on something that has that fast tip. Again, now I have more backbone to handle the heavier lure, but I still have that fast tip for that sensitivity. I throw anything from a swim jig to a regular jig and pig combo. Like if you're throwing a craw on a skirted jig, you can throw chatterbaits. You can throw square bill crankbaits. I throw on here. Pretty much most crankbaits I'm going to throw on the bait casting, a little slightly heavier tackle. If you like this video, subscribe for me, and if you want to check out what reels to pair with these rods that we just talked about, check out the video. I'll see you on the water.